everybody, Miss Susan here, and I'm going to teach you how to put together your flower pen kit today. If you've picked up a flower pen kit, that's our Craft Corner project for August of 2020. In your kit, you will have received 4 punched out flowers in 2 different colors, and then 2 different smaller pieces, rectangle pieces. So your colors may look different than mine because I have 3 different combinations of pattern paper in the different kits. So the first thing you're going to do is take each of your flowers, and I want you to glue them together back to back with opposite colors. And a glue stick is perfect for that because you can get complete coverage and you're not going to have liquid glue oozing out. And as you can see, I bought this paper at Hobby Lobby, and they have some printed information in portions of their paper. So we're going to cover that up by gluing all these together back to back. So that's your first step. And by the magic of television, I already have mine done. And the next thing you're going to do is take each flower and fold it in half like so, and take scissors and just cut a very small slit in it. Let me show you on this one. So we're going to have our papers are glued together now. We're going to fold these together in half. You can see that it lines up perfectly. We're going to put a little snip in the middle and then open it up and fold it back the other way. And then a little snip here in the middle, and that is so that we can put that onto our pen. The end of our pen will fit right through that little snip. So you've got your flowers glued together, you've folded them all in half, and you've snipped them, and now you can see that the pen, they fit over the end of the pen. Now let's talk about the pen. I've chosen the Pentel RSVP pen. And I like this pen because it's got a clear barrel, and you can take off the end and insert a paper in there, a colored paper. So I've given you 2 colored papers. You only need to choose one. I wanted you to have the choice. So whichever paper you prefer to be in the barrel of your pen, go ahead and take that. I'm going to do the polka dots. And I'm going to take the barrel of my pen and just rub it over the paper, kind of like you would a curling ribbon. And that just helps to break the fibers down just a little bit so that we can roll it around the pen. Now we're going to use the ink portion of the pen, and you're going to roll this around the pen. So you got to get it going and just start rolling it around very tightly. So you can see I've got that tightly rolled around my pen. Now, wherever the fold is, where the paper ends, and there's a line right here, I want to place that right where the letters are of the Pentel pen. It'll just be a little bit less visible that way. So I've stuck it in most of the way, and then you can use the end of the pen and push it all the way in. Now you can insert the ink portion of the pen and screw it back on, and you've got a pretty pen barrel there. Okay, let's go back to our flowers now, and we're going to talk a little bit about patterning and how we want to organize this. We're going to put it on obviously on the opposite end. We're not going to worry about the cap. We're not going to put the flower on the cap. We're going to put it on the end of our pen. So let's talk about our patterning. Now you probably want to do every other pattern facing up. So if I started with orange and then dots and then orange and then dots, that would make sense, right? But the center of your flower is actually going to come up, and we're going to smush it all the way closed so that it'll be like the bud part of the flower. So you need to decide if you want that pattern to match the first layer of your petals, or if you want that to be an alternating color. If so, even though we laid it out alternating, we'd want to flip that over, and so that the dots, if that's what you wanted, would be on the inside layer. So we have dots, orange, but when we open them up, it's orange, orange, dots, orange. So you figure out how you want that to look, and once you figure it out, it'd be a good idea to lay these out in order. This one's going to be the last one to go onto the pen, so put those in order of how you want to layer them onto your pen. Another thing I'll tell you about, you'll notice that these petals look rather wrinkly, and this one isn't so much. I took a little spray bottle and I sprayed real lightly a mist of water on the other 3 petals, and then I just took this and wadded it up into a little ball, and then I unwadded it, and that just kind of breaks down the fibers of the paper a little bit more. Wipe that water up, and just gives the paper a little bit more flexibility. I kind of like the rumpled, wrinkled look. It's okay, it's a distressed look maybe. So now that we're ready to add our flowers onto the base, I'm going to go orange, dots, orange, orange, so that my dots are in the middle. So we'll put the first one on, and if you want to be able to use this pen for a really, really long time, you don't want to glue the base of the cap with hot glue. And that way, if this ink runs out, you can buy another pen and put the ink barrel in there and still have, well, I guess you wouldn't have your flower on top, so never mind. So I'm going to take my hot glue gun. I'm going to put a little bit around the base there, and I'm going to slide my first color on, just like so, and then we'll repeat the process. And you probably don't have to have glue all the way around. It probably could just go in spots. And then as you add the next layer of flowers, make sure they're not lining up exactly, that they're offset a little bit, and that way you can see the color underneath. Okay, we'll add another one on. Making sure to offset that. And now we're ready for the last one. Got a big blob of glue. Now we're going to take this last layer, we're going to put some more glue on the inside here, and then we're going to wrap this top layer up, smush it into that glue. See how that makes like a little bud? And now you can play with the remaining layers, scrunch them up a little bit. And at whatever point, if you want to stop at this point and that looks good, that's fine, or you can keep going and scrunch up the next one. There you go. I think that looks great. And I'll tell you, I made some of these pens and put them out around the circulation desk at the South Branch and the reference desk, and they lasted probably a year or two. Sometimes people walk off with your favorite pen. Nobody walked off with the flower pen, but they enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoy making this craft too, and maybe you'll make a bunch more and give them to your friends. Thanks for watching. Bye.